I saw it on Threads about, you're like, well, I have the education discount because you work for the school. And I was like, damn, lucky bastard.
This is Basic AF episode 84. Show notes for this episode can be found at basicafshow.com/84. In this episode, Nate Gorby returns to the show to talk to us about his brand new MacBook Neo. He's had it for a few weeks, and so we wanted to talk to him again and see what he thinks about that. What's up, everybody? Tom Anderson here, along with Jeff Battersby. Hello, Jeff.
Good morning, Tom Anderson.
How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. I'm actually I'm gonna go hit a no kings rally here in a little bit. So,
oh, sweet jeez. All right, Nate Gorby, welcome back. So, Nate was with us a couple shows ago. That was unfortunately Jeff couldn't make it to that one because he wanted to be here for that. That was our your review. Talk to us about the Meta Ray-Ban glasses.
Yeah,
which was a good episode. So we'll link to that in the show notes. So if you missed that one, do go check it out. That one was really good. So welcome back. We're happy to have you back. I know it's only been a couple of weeks, so you're now a regular.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun. I enjoyed it. So I'm back.
Happy to have you back, and excited to have you talk about the new MacBook Neo that you got. So, and I was. I'm sorry that I did not. I did drop out at the last minute, I think, as I said before, which we can repost this, but one of the bartenders at the bar where I work had a fire, burned down the whole apartment building that she
Not good.
No. So she needed coverage, obviously, for brilliant and true reasons, and so I did do one of those coverages, so that's why I disappeared. Wasn't because of you, Nate, I promise.
Yeah. Or was it? Because I...
we'll find out. After this episode, if you see me not showing up for subsequent episodes...
He may just walk out. Who knows? He's done that to me before.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, I have a question for you, is that I want to get some follow-up on the AirPod in your underwear.
Oh, no.
He hasn't showed up. AirTag.
Oh. AirTag. Yeah.
Yeah, right. The bad AirTag. I have not received it yet, which is really weird. So I emailed those guys this week just to say, hey, you accepted me. Where's my butt sniffer? And,
I was laughing to myself because I was thinking, like, that's not going to work. And, like, if they get all the test results, they'll just be like, can you just fart in a jar and send that to us?
Yeah.
Like your story.
That's my brother how that plays out. Yeah. That's my brother how that plays out for him.
Oh, thinking you just go in this jar and send it to us. Yeah. But that was a fun one. You're brave for doing that.
I actually emailed those guys too to see if we can get them on.
That would be funny. Yeah.
I told him I don't think it's a legit thing. I think it's just weird dudes with fart kinks.
Yeah, I think
exactly what Tom said.
Send us pictures.
I don't know. Battersby's into weird stuff, man. I don't know what to tell you guys about this. Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah. All right. Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not shaming anybody, but let's just move on.
Right.
Yeah, please.
All right. So Nate, you were able to pick up one of these day one, correct?
Yep.
So you had pre-ordered, showed up at your door the day on day one. Tom got his hands on one a couple weeks ago, but not for very long. You've had this for 2 weeks now, so we're interested to hear how that plays out for you, or how that has played out for you thus far.
Yeah, so far it's actually been really good. Prior to this, I had a M2 MacBook Air, and I ended up getting rid of it just because I didn't feel like I needed it that much. And it turns out I did actually want and need a Mac. So this thing came out and was released kind of perfect timing because I had just spent like about a month not having a Mac and then had one back again. My wife has the M4 Air, and it's interesting to like go back and forth between the two computers. The trackpad feels a little different. The keyboard is a keyboard. I did get the model without Touch ID, And I kind of thought at first that maybe that was going to be a mistake. But it hasn't been bad. So if you have an Apple Watch, you can just do like the unlock with watch. Sure. And, I'm always typing, with my hands are on the keyboard. So if there's something that needs to authenticate, like where some of my apps, like my journal app requires like Touch ID or whatever authentication, I can just click to on my watch and you're good to go. So it hasn't really been too difficult in a world where I feel like everything's either Face ID or Touch ID, and it's kind of optimized for that type of thing. I've been totally fine with it all. So yeah, I don't know. The day-to-day use, I'm kind of using it like how
using it for?
Yeah.
What is it that you use it for?
Yeah, so I'm when I'm home, I'm using it as like basically everything I would use my iPad for. I've got the Threads web app. I'm doing actually a lot more YouTube watching and stuff on the Mac. There's a really cool app called Reader. I think it's called Reader. Yeah, Reader. And doing a lot of like just video stuff. So it's just super light consumption of things. I not a really big like super Mac user. Like I'm not creating anything. I'm not making music or apps or anything like that. I'm just browsing, emailing, light social media, maybe some photo editing. It's been pretty chill. I actually really, really enjoyed having it.
So you said you had no Mac. You got rid of your M2 MacBook Air on the in-between, and then you picked this up. So you don't use this for work purposes at all? It's basically an email box and okay, interesting.
Yeah, I do some writing and stuff. I don't really necessarily publish a lot of it, but I mean, I do some like typing and things like that on it. But yeah, it's
and what apps are you using for that?
So I use like the journal app that comes with the Mac. I have, let me look through. Oh, I did actually end up, my son is in some early college coursework. So I used his school ID to get a year of Apple Creator Studio just to kind of see what it was. So I was like,
yeah, nice.
$30 a year, man. I can't really go wrong with that. So
right.
I made him verify whatever it had to do, and that was cool. So some of those apps are fun. The Pixelmator is really like the photo or the app that I was after on that. Freeform had the new update, and that was kind of fun to play around with some of the AI stuff. But yeah, I have for writing, I downloaded Substack, and they had recently like done a lot of there's like weird podcast stuff that they do inside of there, or video, and just some different formats that I think they're kind of playing around with, which I thought could be interesting. I don't know. It's kind of one of those ideas or those things that come up, and I just want to give it some time to see what I might create with it or not create with it. But yeah, it's like I said, I'm pretty light. I mean, I have messages, mail, reminders, things.
Okay. Just the day-to-day, everyday stuff that you, as you said, you might do with an iPad.
Yep. Yeah.
And were you using a keyboard with the iPad predominantly, or were you using it straight up tablet style?
I was just straight up tablet style. It's an iPad mini, so it's not even that big of an iPad. Okay. And I was like, oh, this will be fine. Like, I really don't use that Mac for too much. And then it's like, well, when that's the only option besides your phone, it kind of sucks.
Fair.
So it's like, oh, well, actually, yeah. But I've really enjoyed it. I've had an iPad with a keyboard before. I did one of the, it was the first iPad Pro that had that weird folio keyboard thing that was almost as expensive as the iPad.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyhow, I've had that before. That was a nice setup, but yeah.
Okay, so as far as build quality, everybody said this thing feels really solid. How does it compare to the MacBook Air or your wife's M4 MacBook Air?
I think it's perfectly fine. My computer at work is a like a Lenovo ThinkPad. It's kind of just this just piece of junk. But I'll kind of press down like on the body of the Mac, and it's it's a solid piece of aluminum, and the computer at work is like the whole thing flexes down, and it's like, oh, this is kind of plastic's maybe
Still
not the way to go.
Out of plastic, huh?
Yeah. So it's like, oh, like I can kind of appreciate what it is. I really like they changed the shell of the computer, and it's a little bit thicker, and it's a little bit rounder edges. Like it feels softer in the hand just to hold it, and to like everything like that. So the feel of it is really good. Like I said, the keyboard's fine. The trackpad was a little weird at first because I don't think I've had a Mac with the physical trackpad, and I don't know how long. It's been a really long time because that kind of threw me off at first.
Right, I don't mind it.
Clicks. Yeah, it's got some movement, some travel to it. It's weird going back to like my wife's MacBook for like some things that I'll do for her, and I'm like, oh, this trackpad is like kind of stuck or something. Like it just feels weird after using this one for getting used to this one for a while. So, it's a perfectly great computer. Some of the stuff that you don't really, I feel like people are talking about it, is I really like the back on the Apple logo, how it's not like shiny, and it's just kind of another insert of like the aluminum. I think it just kind of looks more modern and more up to date. It kind of makes the other MacBook Air that we have in the house just maybe feel a little dated.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I liked that idea. I've still yet to get my hands on one of these to play with them, so I haven't had the opportunity. I mentioned in the last episode of the podcast, I was driving past the Danbury Fair Mall on my way home, and I'd already been driving for like 3.5 hours at that point. I was like, I don't need to get out of my car.
It's a fun computer. I did like one of the first things I did do as far as like stress testing it when I first got it was like, every time you open up the app, it's like tells you like, welcome to the App Store. Welcome to I did set it up as a new computer. So,
okay.
Kind of got that all squared away. And I opened up like all of the apps at once, and they just pop. Okay. I mean, it loaded fine. It handled everything like flawlessly. I was actually pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, so you're not finding, I mean, it sounds like based on what you're doing anyway, which perfect use case for this, I think. You're finding that you're not stressing it at all. I mean, my joke kind of is I have a MacBook Pro, an M2 MacBook Pro, and, I type words. That's the majority of what I do on it,
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to stress it.
Yeah.
Which makes it, I do edit photos on it, and I use actually Pixelmator, not the sweet version of Pixelmator, but I do use Pixelmator. I've been using that for a long time, and the Acorn. Both of those are apps that I use to do most of my editing. There's no way that I'm using all the juice that requires for any of the work that I'm doing. Just sitting there typing. And frankly, I could be using a Mac SE probably or something like that.
Yeah. That was kind of always my thing with always doing like the MacBook Air. Like I said, when I have had Macs in the past, like they've always been MacBook Air. And I'm kind of like, man, if this is like such a watered down version of a Mac, like I really don't think I even needed, like a MacBook Air was probably more power than what I honestly needed. So we'll see how hopefully this thing will, keep up with technology or apps or software or whatever is coming. But the 8 gigs of RAM was never an issue on my MacBooks before. And I knew it wasn't going to be an issue with this one. So felt pretty confident.
Yeah, I think with
that.
the new architecture that Apple uses, which I don't know if that's true, the A16. I know it's the M series, it definitely onboard memory, but those 8 gigs of RAM sounds like a little bit. It really isn't a little bit. It's plenty.
Yeah.
And I think as has kind of played out in a lot of the reviews that we've seen of the Mac Neo, it's very, very capable.
Yeah.
Production capable, no, but nobody in any production house is going to be, pulling out this to do their feature length film. That's just not going to be a thing. So that A16 chip is great. And
is it 16 or 18 or 7?
Is it 18? Oh, it's 18. Sorry, A16.
What's the new phones, guys? 19.
19.
Oh,
18.
yeah, it's an A18.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
It's an iPhone 16.
iPhone. That's iPhone 16, A18. Right?
We're going to have to get them to do what they've done with the operating systems and just get like the phone models and the chip numbers to line up.
Yeah,
it's like,
it'd be nice.
It's the 20, follow the 20. We're all getting old. It's hard to keep track of this stuff.
Yeah, right.
Well, what's interesting to me too is up until about 12 months ago, give or take, it was right around when Apple Intelligence was released, if you want to call it that. They
was announced.
Well, yeah, and they increased the base RAM from 8 gig to 16 on the Macs. And prior to that, though, all the way up, it was 8 gig was your starting point, and then you could bump them up. So 8 gig is, it was a standard for a long, 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 long time, and we always bumped ours up to 16. At work, now they're 16 out of the gate, but so it'll be fine. I think Jeff alluded to it. I think Nate's use case is perfect for this. It's all pretty lightweight. It's a little bit of this, but we have seen some videos. People have pushed the boundaries of it just to see what it would do, and we're kind of repeating what we did when the first Macs came out with Apple Silicon back in 2020, because they shipped with 8 gigs. Nobody was really sure what they were going to do with 8 gigs. Then it was the Mac Mini and I think the 13-inch MacBook Pro, one of the models anyway. And we're doing all the same experiments. It's, hey, open up all the apps, see how fast they load, and so forth and so on. And one of the biggest things back then that we've all gotten spoiled with now are the thermal performance, because those Intel MacBooks, especially the 13-inch MacBooks, you just turned them on, and God forbid you ran a Zoom, because if you ran a Zoom, it was like it was ready to launch. The fans were running, and so it was very poor, and we've had such great improvements there. And so I think that's helped out a lot too. And even leading up to that, before, while they were still Intel systems, people were running benchmarks on the iPhones, and they were saying, well, look, this iPhone's single-core performance is just as good as the MacBook is. Yeah. And it's like, or the MacBook Air or the MacBook Pro. And it's like, and that's when the speculation was ramping up with, Apple's going to drop Intel and go to Apple Silicon. So these things, I think, are just in a really, really sweet spot for the market. Yeah. Because like you said, Nate, your work computer, which I don't know, how much you guys pay for those, but, it just feels cheap, and this doesn't. You know what I mean? And so these, the biggest takeaway I had at the conference a couple of weeks ago was that it just feels like a MacBook. It doesn't feel like a separate thing Apple just put out to reach a price point that's kind of flimsy and stuff. Nate, back in the day, did you have one of the plastic MacBooks that was just MacBook? It was like a white or a black were the two options you had. That was 2008, maybe? Yeah,
I had
I don't know.
No, I was I had an iMac back then. So I was still like desktop ready. But I did always see those. I think that when I can't remember. I feel like I was in an Apple store, and for some reason, like the idea of a laptop just seemed not feasible, or like it didn't, I don't know. At the time in 2008 or 7 or whatever it was that I had that iMac, it was just it was a different class of people weren't doing the same stuff in computers, but no, I never had one.
Okay. Yeah. The only reason I asked is it was plastic, and it would do some of that creaking. Like it wasn't as bad as the PCs are, where you can actually like push it in, but when you would pick it up, it would creak a little bit or open it. But I think that one was around $1,000 back then. Jeff, do you remember?
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
Because I had a couple of those, but
he had a friend that had one, and I remember it just kind of being like the material on like your AirPods case, like is shiny, but like it's super scuffed up once you like really get like you look closer, and it's just like it kind of doesn't wear great. Like it just looks crappy after a while. Mm-hmm. So that is one thing I think I was happy about with the aluminum, because I think even as this thing was rumored to come out, I personally just kind of wondered. I was like, I wonder if they would do like plastic or like something other than aluminum, but obviously not, and it's for a good reason. But yeah, the gigabytes of RAM thing is an interesting point. Like you said, I think without Apple Silicon, it just really like it picks up everything that you would like. It turns everything upside down. Like I always give our IT guys a hard time about how much the Windows computers suck at work, and I'm like, hey, man, it's weird because I have a Mac at home and I've never had this problem before, and they're like, oh,
you're that guy,
yeah. Or there's like one VP in our office that has a MacBook, and I'm always like, does Terry ever have issues like this with his computer? And they're like, well, no, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like, wonder what his difference is. It's like, because Terry has a Mac. This stuff sucks. But anyway.
You like Terry.
Yeah. Should start a motto. What was I going to say? Oh, yesterday I had just like my normal apps open. There's some stuff we do in like a browser and a couple like shipping style softwares. I've always got Teams open, and Outlook. Like I live and work out of Outlook at work. But I kept running into like a bunch of like everything would just kind of freeze up and run really slow, where I was just like, man, this computer, I've had it with this stupid thing, and having like 5 apps open. And I looked at what I did like the task manager thing and looked at like the RAM on it. And I think it had like 32 gigs of RAM. And I was like, for the 5 like web-based applications I have open right now, like, and this thing is struggling. It's like, I don't know what the problem is, but it's terrible. So, but yeah, I think that type of thing for Windows people maybe sets a precedence where they're like 8 gigs, like you can't do anything with that. And it's like, well, you kind of can actually, like you just don't realize how poorly managed everything is at least on that computer at work. So yeah.
Yeah. How's your battery life been?
It's pretty good. I would say it gets me through like a full day. And I mean, well, it gets me more than a full day because I'm not using it all day, every day. I'm charging it like throughout the week, like maybe twice a week. On the weekends, I mean, obviously it'll go more. But yeah, it's, I would say as advertised, everything that it handles and does is totally fine. I haven't had any like real complaints with it. It's not, there's nothing I wouldn't say is a sacrifice, so to speak.
And you've said the backlit keyboard or the lack of a backlit keyboard, not really a big issue for you. I note, you'll see if you look in my studio, this is utter darkness. I have a tendency. I'm not a touch typist. I'm a fast typist, but not a touch typist. So I'm wondering if for me, the fact that there's no backlit keyboard might be a problem. Not sure about that, but
yeah, it could be maybe an issue. I think if you went with like if you went with like that indigo one, I feel like the contrast with like the keys kind of are slightly tinted to the color of the computer you get. I have the citrus one. but the fact that the keys are white, I feel like makes up for the fact that there's not a backlit keyboard, because they're just easier. It's like light mode on your permanent light mode on your keyboard. So it's like, oh, it's not actually
my
that
least favorite mode. But
yeah. It's really not bad. And like, if I'm on the couch watching a show or something, like I said, I'm using it like I would an iPad, and I will, pull out my Mac and just quick look something up, or just have it and kind of scrolling threads at the same time as watching whatever show. And it's not, it's not a real, especially at night when I'm watching TV. I've got the lights dimmed and all that good stuff. But I mean, it's not like it's hard to see the keyboard. There's a light coming right off of the monitor, obviously. So that's helps, but it's I would say for me, in my use cases, it's a non-issue. Absolutely. But it might be a little dark for you, but if you get a darker keyboard or darker colored Mac.
If we can have the lights off.
Do you keep your Mac in dark mode all the time? Or do you have that?
Always.
Really?
No.
Interesting.
Constantly. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
This one right now that I'm on a Mac Mini down here, and everything's in dark mode. My background's got that kind of cool, scrolly old Mac look, but the screensaver or the background that Apple provides. That's
the one with the key.
I really like that. But for the most part, everything's in dark mode. My browser's in dark mode. My Mac's in dark mode. I'm looking at Tom's craft document. That's in dark mode. Everything is. That white text on a black background, much easier on my eyes than black text on a white background.
Oh, interesting. Well, then maybe this isn't the computer for you.
So, Nate, is there anything? So, let's say in 2 years or so, Apple refreshes the Neo to the second generation. Mm-hmm. What isn't part of the Neo now that you would like to see maybe in the next generation?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the only thing that I miss is the lack of MagSafe. So this just has those 2 ports on the side with the USB-C and then a headphone jack for whoever still has wired headphones, I guess. I don't know. I haven't had a pair of regular headphones in ages. Now I'm looking and I see both of you guys have wired headphones, so never mind.
Just for this. I'll wear it any other time. But,
okay. But I think the 2 ports are fine. I don't plug in a lot of peripherals. I know a lot of people, there was weird stuff about the USB-C ports on the side and how one of them was for faster transfer and the other didn't support it, and how they weren't even labeled and blah, blah, blah. And I don't really care because I don't connect anything to my Mac. I mean, if it's iCloud Sync and AirDrop work just fine. So I would say it's not an issue. But yeah, I would say altogether the lack of MagSafe is just a little concerning, because there's times when it's plugged in and it's like maybe on the recliner chair and I don't want my big doofus dog to yank it off of the,
Right.
Which is probably bound to happen sooner or later. But I don't know. I think other than that, man, it was a choice to not do the Touch ID. And I think long term I might get kind of tired of that.
It's a big deal though. Yeah.
It's
on the Mac Mini down here. I don't have it, so I can.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I think if you have the watch, it, like you said earlier, Nate, that alleviates a lot of the friction.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you get that stupid message that says wireless connection is too weak for the watch. Type your password.
Yeah, right next to it.
I haven't seen that yet. No, I've actually been. As I was preparing for the show, I did a workout this morning, and my watch was at 20%. So I had it on the charger, and I was sitting down doing some prep work for this, and I was kind of annoyed that I had to type in my password to unlock the computer. And I was like, man, like it really just does it pretty flawlessly. Like when I have the watch on and I just open the MacBook, I'll see my name for a second and it just pops open. So, yeah, software wise, I mean, maybe they could make it so I don't have to double click the button on the side to activate it. But yeah, like you said, Jeff, I don't think it's essentially a non-issue, especially if you have a desktop. I didn't even think about that fact that desktops don't typically have the Touch ID.
Yeah, actually, there are keyboards that do have it. My mom has one of the new iMacs.
Yeah,
and that does have Touch ID. She didn't even know it existed, though.
Yeah, it's.
Okay. I told her to touch it the other day to unlock something. She's like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah,
she's been typing in her password anyway. So.
Yeah. I think that when my wife first got her Touch ID Mac, she was kind of like, well, where's the power button? And I'm like, it's that button right there. She's like, there's no label on it. It even say that it is Touch ID. And I was like, that's a good point. I was like, there's nothing on there. Like,
obvious.
Yeah. So I could see where somebody would just totally miss that that's what it even does. But yeah, I think it's a great computer. I really, really like it a lot. The fact that it was so like, it really kind of put me in perspective of like, I have a 17 Pro for the phone, and then like my Ultra watch and my Pro headphones. And it's like, man, the phone like really is pretty damn expensive. Like that's a $1,200. I forget. I have a higher storage base on the phone, but it blows my mind that like a Mac can be half the cost of that, and in a lot of ways, like
and
so much more
plenty.
useful. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's. I think it's kind of exciting to see what the bigger takeaway will be when, I guess, Tom, you might know how that works with budgets and buying computers and whatever stuff. Like, I don't know if a lot of IT guys will even take a look at the Neo just because they see 8 gigs of RAM and they just, nope, not for us. And it's like, oh, hold the horses there. But that's
I think a lot of that will depend on like who the IT guys are. If they're the holdover Windows admins from the 90s that are still doing IT, which I'm from the 90s, so I'm not aging anybody, but it's. Yeah, I think that would impact the 8 gigs. Or one, they'll be like, "Oh, it's a stupid Mac anyway." But
right.
That's not as common as it used to be by any means. Apple's made a lot of progress getting into enterprise and things like that. But I mean, I could see for a lot of corporations where they've just got salespeople running around doing stuff. Maybe they were getting the MacBook Airs before, then they're just doing email and using whatever the company's AI tool of choice is, which is browser based anyway. And so, okay, well, we could do these for next to nothing. So it is compelling there. I mean, especially education with the additional $100 discount is. I mean, it starts at $499. I mean, that's
it's nothing.
That's a 20% discount, by the way.
Yeah,
and so. Which I've said we don't plan to upgrade or not upgrade. We don't plan to switch what we're deploying to these. I think we've got too many kind of use cases where it would come up a little bit short, where we've got students doing theater design and works and stuff like that. And one thing we've always avoided is kind of saying, okay, well, this group of students is going to get this configuration and this group's going to get this configuration and this, because then it just becomes like a logistical nightmare for us because we just don't have we used to do that with phones.
Too many balls to juggle.
Yeah. And so we'd like, not going to do that. But K-12 maybe, I could see it being interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I know my kids have even kind of been like more a little like, oh, they're like, I keep seeing ads for those on TikTok. I'm like, oh, that's, with young teenage kids, it's like, oh, like, what do you guys know about this computer? Like, they're pretty interested in it. So they all have.
Real quick. Speaking of enterprise and stuff like that, I don't know if you guys saw, probably because it's not something you pay attention to, but Apple changed Apple Business Manager to Apple Business this week. So
did see that.
And it's got like kind of your basic MDM built into it. And I don't think that's coincidence. I think the timing of that is lined up with this pretty well. Now we use Apple School Manager, which is like kind of the education piece of that. So I think that might be interesting too. Because one of the things, if you go to switch like K-12 or any university, whatever the situation is, so if they're doing Chromebooks, right, they're heavily leveraging the Google Workspace. So, you sign in, you got your docs, you got your slides, your sheets, all that stuff. And so Apple has this management tool to help with some of that. So we'll see. I mean, I think, 12 to 18 months will be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. There was a thing I saw too, when the first week that the Mac Neo came out. I still will look at like the Sunday ads for stuff. When I was a kid, it used to be in the Sunday paper. Now it's just like, I just pop open the Target app and flop through it or whatever to see what's on sale for the week. But Target is actually selling the MacBook Neo, which they didn't sell MacBooks there before. It's like they sold like iPods and watches and stuff. Maybe a phone. I think you could get a
too.
Yeah. But they did not sell Macs. But they are selling the Mac Neos, which I thought was just kind of interesting. It just opens up that market even more because I know, like in my area where I live in West Michigan, we have an Apple store, but it's inside of a mall, and it's a mall that like everybody hates going to. Mostly because of location and parking and crime, and just like it's not.
Jeez.
It's such a pain in the butt to get to. But so there's a lot of like people I think that look at Macs and they're just like, oh, I would get a Mac, but I'm not going to the mall. It's like, oh, okay, well, you can get them from Best Buy, and like people will be like, well, if you go into Best Buy, like the Best Buy salespeople will just sell you into a Windows computer because, whatever. But I just thought it was interesting that Target would be selling that. I think that kind of opens up a potential avenue for more normies to purchase a Mac than what they had before. Kind of like with the iPhone. When it was first released, it had it was only on what was it, Singular or AT&T, and then every year it kind of got like new carriers.
Yeah, there's a name from the past.
Yeah, Singular. Yeah. But I mean, like every year, every time they were like, oh, now the iPhone's on Sprint, now it's on Verizon, and then they always would be like, we had our biggest iPhone sales quarter ever, and it's like, yeah, it's because you opened up the door to more suppliers. So. Right. I kind of wonder if that'll have any kind of a ripple effect with the Mac or not, but I don't know. It's just exciting to just see it kind of get picked up as mainstream, and it's literally, especially at the education discount, it's half the price of everything else that Apple sells. And if you don't already know this, you can just go on to Apple's education store and you can click a button that says, I promise I'm in school, and then you get that discount. So if you're looking to save some money, you didn't hear it from me.
Trying to get Tom to give me a Shenandoah University email.
Yeah. Come on, Tom. We're holding out us, huh? Yeah. No, actually, Tom, it was
you. Do account creation, man.
It was your comment about that. I saw it on Threads about, you're like, well, I have the education discount because you work for the school, and I was like, damn, lucky bastard. And then I was thinking, hey, wait a minute. My son's got a school ID. I was like, what's your?
You could do it.
Yeah. So it was, it was pretty cool, but yeah, I mean, so whatever. Not talking about ways to cheat out of paying full price, but Apple's things are very, very penetrable. So whatever. Yeah, and one thing I think we haven't really talked about is I tried to use the Mac just to like listen to podcasts or even like music and stuff. The speakers on this thing are toward the front of the computer, and I really like them. I don't think they sound great, but for spoken word stuff, like they sound pretty dang good.
Yeah, that's one thing that Apple's done a really good job with is really, really small audio.
Yeah.
At least from my perspective. I am always surprised at how good the audio is on my iPhone.
Yeah.
Like if I'm watching a movie or something like that, which, I don't recommend watching movies on iPhones. But if I'm watching a movie, like it's almost like surround sound without AirPods.
Yeah, so. Once you turn it sideways, it does this weird like spatial audio thing where it's always like, whoa, that's weird. Like, how the heck did they do that? Like, guess there was maybe I kind of like chalked that up to like maybe that's part of like the Beats audio, like them buying Beats. Like maybe they actually did know how to make really good speakers, but I mean, yeah, I don't remember being wowed by speakers of any of my older Apple devices, but it's like some of the newer stuff, like you were saying, Jeff, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they've definitely focused on it, and it's gotten way, way better.
Yeah,
definitely. Even on the studio display, the studio display speakers are really good. iPad speakers, MacBook speakers, all of them. Have really improved in the last 5 to 7 years, I would say.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on the Neo? We've got a couple of other things we could go through, kind of rapid fire, just news stories.
Not really. I think it's interesting that they color matched all of the settings and the highlights to the computer. So like mine, where everything's usually the highlight is blue, mine was all kind of that citrus green, which on a light screen is really weird and kind of throws you off. Like I kept opening the Mac App Store and I was like, oh, are these apps like grayed out because I can't use them on the Mac? And I was like, or on the Neo, I was like, well, that kind of sucks. And then I realized, I was like, oh, it's just because the colors are inverted to what my brain is reading as. So I changed that setting.
Did you stick with the... Okay, I was just asking that, yeah.
Yeah, I tried to stick with it because I thought it would be fun. And kind of really just approached this as like everything. Like I don't have Stage Manager on this, and I used that heavily on my old computers, and kind of just taking it as like a totally new approach to how I want to use a Mac. And yeah, I definitely had to go back on the colors thing because that kept breaking my brain every time I opened anything. I'm like, oh yeah, you can't open this. But yeah, no, I think that's about all I've got to really say on the Mac.
Sweet. Well, it sounds like big thumbs up from you. Overall.
For sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's good. And I may end up picking one up because I've got a 16-inch MacBook Pro that I never take out of the house because it's too big.
Yeah.
And so maybe if I want something just to, take on vacation or whatever, I usually take the iPad and that's good enough. So we'll see. But
yeah.
Jeff, any other questions?
No, I think I'm good. It sounds like you're really happy with it. And overall, the general consensus has been that it's a solid computer.
Yeah.
I really think Apple has hit a really sweet spot with this, and not chinsed out. They didn't make it stupid cheap and feel like garbage. It like all Macs. The chip aside, it should last you a good 8 years. I would say at least. Unless until they release something new.
I think if you handed this computer to a person that didn't know anything about what the Neo really like is or anything, like they would handle it, use it, and they would think it's probably like $1,000 computer, where it's the fact that it's half that, or kind of half that, makes. It's, you wouldn't know that you're using a budget laptop, in my opinion. But it's
amazing.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, truly is amazing. I love that Apple does that too. They didn't make something cheap.
Yeah.
All right. So quickly, before we wrap up, just a couple of news stories from this week. Apple announced that this year's developer conference, WWDC, will take place June 8th through the 12th, online again. It has been since, 2020. They'll have their in-person event at Apple Park on June 8th. And so we'll all nerd out and watch the event online and see what's new, and we'll get all excited, and then the betas will come out, and then we'll start to be not so excited because it doesn't work. And then the final version will come out, and it kind of works, and then we'll be like, well, where's this piece? And then we'll get to the .4 updates, and then it will have everything in it that it was supposed to. But they're touting, finally, they're touting again, I should say, AI stuff. We'll see what happens. I kind of feel like that will be the new Siri debut, will be in 27. I think they're just going to not even try with 26 because we're already on 26.4, so I don't think they're going to do anything with it at this point. Which, by the way, 26.4 updates just came out this week, so you can go hit those. There's some new stuff in there. One of the things seems to be keyboard improvements for typing on your iPhone. It seems to be better for me. Could be placebo. Who knows? Need some more time. But
yeah, I installed it as well. I haven't really paid any attention to that part yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, I didn't even know that there was a keyboard bug in the other ones that people complained about. So I was like,
I did.
Okay.
It was good. Yeah, if you didn't. It makes me wonder, it's like, what conditions triggered that? Because obviously not everybody had it, but it seemed to be like enough, or maybe it seemed to be when you were typing fast too, like at least in some of the notes, like it fixes when you're typing quickly. So I'm not sure, but it does seem to be better. Like it was really bad for me there for a while. So hopefully that is an improvement for everybody. Mm-hmm. And then we need to pour one out for the Mac Pro.
Oh.
The Mac Pro is no more. It's been discontinued, which is no surprise.
Yeah.
No, really.
Since that Mac Studio is pretty killer all by itself. So.
Yeah.
So that is the new beast. I'd like to maybe get one of those.
I do really like, I did always like the design of the Mac Pro, especially like the Cheese Grater one. That was the most recent one. That's like, hey, that thing looked pretty sweet, but that's too bad. Maybe they can bring that down to like a MacBook Ultra and just put a bunch of holes. This isn't convenient.
That'd be wild.
But it looks sweet, right? Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, I think that's it.
I think it is. I don't think there's anything else to say. Nate, glad I got to see you, meet you in person this time, and really appreciate you taking the time to come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as far as getting us, feedback at basicafshow.com, like us, follow us, do all those things on your favorite podcasting app. It does make a difference, so we appreciate that if you do. Tom, you have a newsletter?
I do. TomFAnderson.com, and there's a sign-up box right at the top of the page.
Cool. And Nate, where can we find you online?
I am primarily on Instagram and Threads. Threads, I'm all over that. And you can find me at @Gorby. So first initial, last name, NGORB, like boy, Y.
Yeah, which, by the way, that's where I found you.
Yeah.
For the very first time. That's
I think that's how I met Tom and you guys, too. I was just like, that's kind of cool. So
a couple of weirdos. More weirdos on Threads.
Yeah.
It's no shortage.
Yeah, no,
right.
Plenty. More and more as time goes on. We have our show artwork. I was going to say Russell Brand. Randall Martin. Why would I say Russell Brand?
I didn't know about that.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, all our show artwork is by Russell Brand. Sorry. Randall Martin design, show music, Psychokinetic, Celsius 7. We'd appreciate it if you check them out. And as always, we're grateful that you're here. It means a lot to us. So thanks for coming along. And if you stayed this late, you must like us.
Yeah, a little bit. We appreciate it.
Yeah, enough.
Yeah.
Or maybe you like Nate.
Yeah.
Could be that too. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Everybody likes Nate that I know.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, Nate, thanks again for coming on. We appreciate it. Listeners, thanks for hanging out with us again for another episode. As Jeff said, we really do appreciate that. So until next time, when we talk to you again in a few weeks, do enjoy the rest of your day or your night.
All right. See ya. Yep. Thanks, everybody.